Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabha. Hello everyone. So today we'll continue our discussion on the Samsara series, and we'll talk about the Hell realm, the worst realm of existence, and the 6 realms of reincarnation. So if you think the human realm already has a lot of sufferings, some people say we already have hells on earth, but they don't really know about the suffering in the hell realm. There is billionfold more suffering in the hell realm than what we can possibly see in the human realm, in the animal realm, and the hungry ghost realm, which we discussed before. So a lot of people may doubt, does the hell realm really exist? Yes, the hell realm exists. Although all the 6 realms of reincarnations are a dream, an illusion from the Buddhist perspective, but it is not an illusion for people who are dreaming in the dream. So currently we are all dreaming in the dream, and we think that the dreams are real, and hence the suffering we experience are real. But for enlightened beings, everywhere they go is the pure land, pure mind, pure land. But for us unenlightened beings who are currently asleep in the dream, and the suffering to us is real, and hence the hell realm exists. Although in essence the 6 realms are like a dream, but for unawakened, asleep beings like us, this is real. We do experience suffering in the human realm, in the hungry ghost realm, in the animal realm, and in the hell realm. So the hell realm is real, and the suffering there is indescribable, unbearable. So in the Buddhist Sutras, it has the most detailed descriptions on the hell realm than any other book, any other religion in the world. You cannot find such detailed descriptions about the hell realm. You can only find them in the Buddhist scriptures. Why is that? Because the Buddha is all-knowing, omniscience, but not omnipotent. Because each of us make up our karma from our mind. So although the Buddha is all-knowing, at the level of the perfect enlightened being, the Buddha's level, they are all-knowing, but they cannot help us if we are not willing to change ourselves. And because the Buddha nature is within all beings, we all create our karma with our mind. So even if the Buddha knows, the Buddha can show us the way, but they can't help us if we're not willing to first believe in his words, and second to follow, to practice, to be willing to change ourselves. So Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are not omnipotent. Buddha is omniscient, but not omnipotent. So the question is, what kind of beings will go to the hell realm? In the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's Fundamental Vows Sutra, the Buddha told us that 2 types of beings will go to the hell realm. First is that you commit the corresponding karma that corresponds to the hell realm, such as the 5 great offenses and the 10 evil deeds. And second is like you have great spiritual powers, such as the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and they go to the hell realm to help save sentient beings. For instance, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, who vows to empty the hell realm before he realized the perfect Buddhahood. So you will hear me talk about Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva a lot when we mention the hell realm. So if one commits the 5 great offenses and the 10 evil deeds, then one will reincarnate into the hell realm, the upper grade of 10 evil deeds. So what are the 5 great offenses? The worst, the most serious type of offense, such as killing one's mother, killing one's father, killing an arahant, an enlightened being, including killing a bodhisattva. 4th is to injure a Tathagata, a Buddha. One cannot kill the Buddha, or if one injure the Buddha, such as making the Buddha bleed, it also counts. But the Buddha, it's not in our world. Although the Buddha has countless incarnations also in our world to help sentient beings, but we don't really know. So this also includes like if you harm a good teacher, a good Dharma teacher who can spread the Dharma and help save sentient beings. And the fifth is to split the harmonious Sangha. It's like causing troubles in the Sangha and make the Sangha split. So why this last three, like killing an enlightened being, wounding a Buddha, and split the harmonious Sanghas, why do they consider as the most serious offenses? Because you are destroying the right Dharma. Like harming the three jewels is like destroying the right Dharma, which prevents many beings from liberated from all sufferings in life. So that's why these are the most serious offense, and one should never commit them. One should never kill one's parents. One should never kill an enlightened being. One should never harm the Buddha or harm a good teacher who can spread the Dharma. And one should never cause split in a harmonious Sangha. If you commit any of this, then you are going to the Avici hell, the worst hell realm. And we'll discuss more about the Avici hell later. And also the 10 evil deeds, the upper grade of 10 evil deeds. And we talked about the 10 evil deeds before. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, frivolous speech, harsh speech, greed, anger, and ignorance. So the opposite of the 10 good deeds. If one commit the upper grade, the more serious type of the 10 evil deeds, and one has no repentance whatsoever, and the corresponding karma will be the hell realm. So what if in our daily life we commit the 10 evil deeds, and we really need to repent sincerely and vow to never commit again, but we have strong karmic habitual tendency, which means that although we know it's not good and we may again commit, so again repent and vow to never commit again. And then you again commit, again repent and vow to never commit again. Through our spiritual cultivation, and we'll slowly get better. But for beginnings at this time, we really need to rely on Amitabha Buddha's great vows to deliver us to his Pure Land. Otherwise, most of us, due to our evil karma, will most likely fall into the 3 evil realms after this life, and also very likely to fall into the hell realm. So we have to rely on Amitabha Buddha's great vows and power to save us from falling into the 3 evil realms, from the 6 realms of reincarnation. This is indeed true. I have no doubt about it. Amitabha Buddha is real and the Pure Land exists. And this is the easiest method for anybody who wants to exit the cycle of reincarnation in one lifetime. There is no other method that is as simple as this one. Because to go to Amitabha Buddha's Pure Land, we can bring our karma with us. But if we commit evil karma in this life, we shall repent and to nianfo and to rely on Amitabha Buddha's great vows to go to the Pure Land. It is extremely difficult, almost impossible for us to cleanse all our evil karma from countless lifetimes. So that is why we really need to rely on Amitabha Buddha's great vow to save us to the Pure Land. And this is indeed real. So where is the hell realm, and what are the different kinds of hells in the hell realm? So the Buddhist Sutras describes this in extremely great details, and I'll quote directly from the sutra. So there are many different types of hells, but today we're only going to look at the 8 major hells in the hell realm. The Buddha told the bhikshus there are 8,000 worlds surrounding the 4 worlds. So we talked about before in Buddhist cosmology how there are 4 worlds, continents or planets. And currently we are in Jambudvipa, like planet Earth. It's called Jambudvipa in Buddhist cosmology. And around these 4 worlds, planets, there are also 8,000 worlds, 8,000 planets. There is, moreover, a great sea surrounding those 8,000 worlds. There is, moreover, a great diamond mountain range encircling that great sea. Beyond this great diamond mountain range is yet another great diamond mountain range. So the great diamond mountain range is called Chakravarta, or the iron encircling mountains in Buddhism, and this is made of irons. And between the two mountain ranges lies darkness. The sun and moon in the divine sky with their great power are unable to reach that darkness with their light. In that space, there are 8 major hells. Along with each major hell are 16 smaller hells. So today we won't talk about the 16 smaller hells. We'll just look at the 8 major hells. And in the following videos, we'll also talk about the 16 hells. So the first major hell is called thoughts. So this hell is also known as reviving. There are other different translations as well. The second is called black robe. The third is called crushing. The fourth is called screaming. The fifth is called great screaming. The sixth is called heating. The seventh is called great heating. The eighth is called uninterrupted. Why is the first great hell called thought? Iron nails grow on the hands of the sentient beings who fall into this hell. They use these long and sharp nails to injure and kill each other when they become angry. Tearing at one another, they strip away pieces of flesh and clean off bones until they eventually collapse as if dead. But when a cool breeze passes over their bodies, the skin and flesh regenerate as they were before. Then these beings stand up and think, I have come back to life. And the others around them say, we see that you have come back to life. Because of this, the first hell is called thought. So what kind of beings will fall into this hell realm? Those who are fond of killing, because they are fond of killing for living for money, and thus they have to repay for their killing karma and go through this kind of sufferings in this hell realm. After experiencing the suffering in the hell of thought, they have to undergo all the suffering in all the 16 small hells. So each of the major hell contains 16 small hells, and we'll talk about it in another video. The second major hell is called the Black Road, which also contains 16 minor hells. Why is it called Black Road? The gods throw the sinners down and stretch their bodies one after another over hot irons, shackled with hot iron trains. The bodies are kept in a straight line so that the gods, using hot iron hatchets, can slice all of them into pieces, making out a train of 100,000 parts, just as a craftsman uses a sharp hatchet to shape pieces of wood and rope to form them into a train. Punished in this manner, the sinners experience pain and suffering beyond measure, but they must undergo this punishment for their actions and are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the Black Road Hell. There are more detailed punishment in the Black Road Hell in the Sutra, and we won't go through it in detail. The third hell is called the Hell of Crushing. Why is it called crushing? Because there's a great mountain of rock that's split open to allow offenders to enter, but when they do, the two sides suddenly come together, crushing them into bits of flesh and bone, and then reopen like two wooden clappers that rebound after each strike. Punished in this way, the sinners experience pain and suffering beyond measure, but they're prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the Hell of Crushing. Again, there is a huge iron elephant in this hell that yells fiercely as it attacks, raging among the offenders. The elephant crushes their bodies into bits of flesh and bone, releasing torrents of blood and pus. Excruciating pain. the sinners scream in agony, but they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the hell of crushing. In the hell of crushing, they will be crushed into bits and pieces in all kinds of ways. So the sutra has more detailed descriptions, and we won't go into the detail. The fourth hell is called the hell of screaming. Why is it called the hell of screaming? The gods in this hell seize the offenders and toss them into a huge cauldron where they burn in boiling water. The pain they experience as their distress mounts is as intense as that of all the worst poisons taken together, but they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the hell of screaming. Also, other sufferings in the hell of screamings, so you can refer to the sutra for more detail. The fifth major hell is called the hell of great screaming. Why is it called the hell of great screaming? The gods in this hell seize the offenders and throw them into a huge cauldron where they burn in boiling water. The screaming that erupts is desperate, for the pain they experience as their distress mounts is as intense as that of all the worst poisons taken together. Yet they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the hell of great screaming. The sixth hell is called the hell of heating. Why is it called heating? The gods in this hell take offenders to an iron castle that glows inside and out, with the heat of the fire burning within. The sinners are left here and are slowly incinerated, their skin and flesh burned away amid mounting pain as intense as that of all the worst poisons taken together. Yet they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the hell of heating. So there are also other sufferings in the hell of heating, and you can refer to the sutra for more detail. The seventh hell is called the hell of great heating. Why is it called the hell of great heating? The guards in this hell put the offenders inside an iron castle that glows, inside and out, with the heat of the first burning within. There, the sinners are incinerated twice over, their skin and flesh burned away amid a mounting pain as intense as that of all the worst poisons taken together. Yet they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called a hell of great heating. The eighth hell is called uninterrupted. Why is it called uninterrupted? The gods in this hell seize the offenders, skin them alive from head to toe, and use their flayed skin to lash them to the hot wheels of a chariot, which they drive back and forth across a fiery iron track. Once crushed, the bodies of the sinners disintegrate into tiny bits of flesh and bone and left scattered along the track. The pain they experience as their distress mounts is as intense as that of all the worst poisons taken together. Yet they are prevented from dying until their offenses have been fully expiated. For this reason, it's called the hell of uninterrupted suffering. So the hell of uninterrupted suffering, also known as Avici hell, this is the worst type of hell in the hell realm. There are also other sufferings that are described in detail in the sutras. Again, everything the sinners see in this hell is repulsive. Everything they hear is bad. Everything they smell is offensive. Everything they touch is painful. And every passing thought is malevolent. There's no rest in this suffering, not even for as brief a moment as a finger snap. For this reason, it's called the hell of uninterrupted suffering. In the Ksitigarbha Sutra, it also describes the Avici hell in more detail, so I'll quote directly from the sutra. So there is a conversation in chapter 3 of the Ksitigarbha Sutra between Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva and Queen Maya. So Queen Maya, or Lady Maya, is the mother of the Buddha, and she ascended to the Chaischimsa heaven after giving birth to the Buddha. So in this sutra, Queen Maya asks Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva about the karmic retribution to the hell realm and what is Avici hell, and Bodhisattva Ksitigarbha answer it in detail. At that time, Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said to the Holy Mother in Jambhavipa, so Jambhavipa is planet Earth, the karmic retributions for various malicious actions are as follows. If there are beings who disregard their filial duties toward their parents and even harm or kill them, those who do so shall fall into Avici hell. Even after trillions of kalpas, there is still no date for their release. If there are beings who shed the blood of a Buddha, slander the three jewels, or disrespect the sutras, those who do so also shall fall into Avici hell. Even after trillions of kalpas, there is still no date for their release. If there are beings who infringe upon or steal the Sangha's properties, slander monks or nuns, indulge in lust or harm or kill within a monastery, those who do so shall fall into Avici hell. Even after trillions of kalpas, there is still no date for their release. There may be beings who pretend to be monks and nuns by taking the monastic vows, but in their hearts do not uphold these vows. Then, using their positions, they abuse the monastery and its related properties, cheat the laity, violate the precepts, and commit various other sins. Those who do so shall fall into Avici hell. Even after trillions of kalpas, there is still no date for their release. If there are beings who steal any property from monasteries, whether it's money or food or fabrics, or even taking just an item without permission, they shall fall into Avici hell. Even after trillions of kalpas, there is still no date for their release. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said, Holy Mother, if there are beings who committed these aforementioned sins, they shall fall into the Avici hell, where they cannot receive a moment of break from their ceaseless sufferings. Lady Maya addressed Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva again, asking, What is this hell known as Avici? Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva replied, Holy Mother, the various hells are situated inside the great Chakravada mountains. So the Chakravada mountains are the iron encircling mountains we talk about. Of grand hells, there are 18. Also, there are 500 major hells, all with different names. Then there are hundreds of thousands of hells of a lesser category, all with different names as well. Among all these hells, there is one known as Avici. As for Avici hell, it's in an iron fortress. This iron fortress walls encircle more than 26,400 leagues and are 3,300 leagues high, made entirely out of iron. There are fierce flames everywhere on top of these walls. Within this iron fortress, there are many hells which are all interconnected and all with different names. Only one of these hells is known as Avici. The walls of this Avici hell encircle 5,940 leagues and is 330 leagues high. It's also completely made of iron, and fierce flames shoot out of these walls. The flames from the top of the walls shoot down, covering the walls entirely from top to bottom. Also, the flames from the bottom shoots up, covering the walls entirely from bottom to top. Then there are iron snakes and iron dogs that breath out fire and run along these walls. Within this hell, there is a torture rack. This rack is so large that it covers 3,300 leagues. When the rack is used on only one sinner, this sinner will see his body being stretched out to cover the entire rack. When tens of millions of beings are punished together, each will only see his body being stretched out to cover the entire rack. Such is the karmic retribution for their malicious deeds. Furthermore, these sinful beings experience other sufferings. There are hundreds of thousands of yakshas and other wicked demons with sword-like teeth and eyes that seem like it shoot out lightning flashes. There are those yakshas who have hands like bronze claws, dragging sinners on the floor of hell. Then there are yakshas who thrust great spears into the sinners' bodies, mouths, noses, abdomens, or backs. Then using the spears impaled in the sinners' bodies, these yakshas hurl sinners up into the air or hurl sinners onto torture racks. Additionally, there are iron hooks that peck at the sinner's eyes. Then there are iron serpents that strangle the sinners by constricting their necks. Other punishments include hundreds of long nails being driven into sinners' various limbs and joints. Their tongues are pulled out and plowed. Their intestines are ripped out and chopped to pieces. Molten bronze are poured into sinners' mouths. White-hot iron bars are coiled around their bodies. The sinners die from these punishments countless thousands of times, only to be brought back to life to suffer again. These are the karmic retributions for their evil acts. Even after millions of kalpas, there is still not a definite date for their release. When this world is destroyed, these sinners will be transported to the house of another world. When that other world is destroyed as well, they will be transported to yet another world's house. This transportation will continue until the world from which they originated reforms along with its house. Then they will be returned to the house of their original world to serve out their sentences. Such is the karmic retributions in Avici hell. So, even when this world is destroyed along with the hell realm, for those who have not served out their sentence, they will continue to be transported to other hells in other worlds, and then keep continuing transported until the original world is again reformed, because each world will go through the periods of formation, existence, destruction, and emptiness, and then reform again. So we can see that the time, the sentence for beings who fall into the Avici hell realm is tremendously long, tremendously long, unimaginable. Furthermore, this hell is known as Avici because of 5 karmic retributions. What are these 5? Firstly, the suffering occurs both day and night, kappa after kappa, without any moment of stoppage. The time of suffering is uninterrupted, hence it is called Avici. Secondly, one person feels it completely, and many people also feel it completely, uninterrupted by forms, hence it is called Avici. Thirdly, implements of punishment include forks, clubs, hawks, snakes, jackals, and dogs. The bodies of the sinners are mewed, grinded, sawed, drilled, filed, and chopped. They are thrown in boiling pots wrapped in iron nets and ropes, embedded with countless needles which pierce their bodies, and iron mules and horses which stomp sinners into bits. The sinners' bodies are skinned, and the skins are wrapped on their heads. Molten iron is poured onto their bodies. When hungry, they are fed with iron balls. When thirsty, they are fed with molten iron. This continues for years after years, and kappas after kappas, until countless kappas have passed. These punishments and sufferings are uninterrupted, hence it is called Avici. Fourthly, regardless whether they are males or females, regardless of their race, regardless whether they're young or old, rich or poor, nagas or gods, devas or ghosts, for all who fall into this hell, the karmic retribution is the same without any difference in punishment. So karmic retributions uninterrupted by the sinner's sex, race, age, etc. Hence it is called Avici. Fifthly, if fallen into this hell from the time these beings enter until the hundreds thousands of kalpas in the future, every day and night they will die many thousands of times and be revived to die yet again. Despite their constant pleadings, they are unable to receive even a moment of break unless their negative karma has been exhausted. Only then will these beings escape and be reborn into another realm. Otherwise, their lives in Avici continue. Uninterrupted lifespan in Avici hell until their negative karma is exhausted. Hence, it is called Avici. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva concluded his explanation to the Holy Mother, saying, "This is a brief description of Avici hell. To speak in detail about this hell, the names of the punishment, implements, and the various forms of suffering within, this cannot be done within 1 kappa of time." So in the next video, I'll talk about the 10 major cold hells and also the 16 small hells in each of the 8 major hell and the 10 major hells. And then I'll introduce other different types of hells, and also how we can possibly help save beings from the hell realm. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Amitabhaya.